You know what feels awesome? Going toe to toe with some uber strong boss, and even though you were riding that thin line between victory and defeat in the closing moments, coming out on top to one hell of an emotional high. When it pays off, there's nothing better, but there's always the possibility that things could have gone completely the other way. Your opponent getting a lucky swipe in that kills you instantly, or a missed time meaning your winning strike is met with an auto block instead. Both absolutely categorically suck, and you might just turn the game off altogether. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 one-hit kill video game bosses that made you rage. Number 10, DIGGERNAUT. Metroid 2: Return of Samus. DIGGERNAUT is one of the newer enemies of the Metroid franchise, being a boss in the remake of Metroid 2, 2017's Metroid 2: Return of Samus. This thing is a little different because Samus can't damage its thick armor like other bosses. Instead, you'll get chased through a series of tunnels as DIGGERNAUT tries to crush you with its drill. You have to avoid blocks, bombs, and all manner of other obstacles, including tons of enemies. One touch from this drill though, and regardless of the fact this came out in 2017, it's an old school instant game over. Number 9, The Witch. Left 4 Dead. Really, almost any enemy from Left 4 Dead could be on this list if you've got a bad enough team, but the Witch will mess you up pretty quickly even with a good team if you're not careful. Generally, the idea for this enemy, especially on harder difficulties, is to avoid the Witch and sneak past her. Shooting her, getting too close, or shining your flashlight on her for too long will incite her into attacking with some gigantic claws. On the hardest difficulty, she'll kill you in a single hit, but even on lower difficulties, if you don't have good allies to pry her off, you'll also be dead in seconds. Number 8, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade Shredder. The old TMNT arcade game is one of the all-time best side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Aside from beating the bloody hell out of differently coloured soldiers of the Foot Clan, you also go up against Bebop and Rocksteady, Krang, Dr. Baxter Stockman, and the ultimate bad guy of the whole series, Shredder. Each have their own niche attacks, but Shredder has a slew of interesting techniques that can catch you off guard. The real devastator is the blue lightning attack that goes all the way across the screen. If your chosen turtle, mine was always Donatello, is a little too close, the beam transforms them back into a regular turtle, killing them on the spot. Number 7, Ruby Weapon. Final Fantasy VII. Feel free to swap this particular weapon out for your crazy mech or beast of choice, as many different Final Fantasies come with ludicrously hard optional bosses that always feel impossible to overcome. Why? Because the first time you see them bust out a 9,999 HP attack, it's a swift trip back to the last checkpoint and a head-scratching thought process of what the hell was I supposed to do? The solution varies game to game. My favourite here is using the Phoenix Summon to revive the party as a final attack, meaning you always have an ace up your sleeve when all hope is gone. Whatever you do and whichever game you pick though, these bosses are set up to kill you. Number 6, Swamp Hag. Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is not a friendly game. Even the first few levels feel like where other stat-grinding strategy titles would climax, forcing you into a headspace of sheer calculation and focus right off the bat. One of these opening dungeons is called The Weald, in which you can find the Swamp Hag and her infuriating pot. First round of the battle, she'll snatch up a hero and just throw them in the pot. They'll take damage not just every turn, but every single action. Oh, and the Hag gets 2 actions each round. The goal is to kill her before your buddy dies in the cauldron, and while technically not killed in a single hit, you are killed with a single technique. If your party gets reduced down to 1, she'll just scoop you up and then there's no escape. Number 5, CELIA and LEDE. Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics is the greatest Final Fantasy that doesn't have a number attached to it. It's got a plot filled with political intrigue, backstabbery, corrupt churches, demonic monsters, and plenty of enjoyable combat. 2 characters you see a few times throughout the game are twin female assassins, CELIA and LEDE. Not including the fact that they can transform into giant monsters, these twins have a ton of dangerous skills. There's the paralyzing Petrify and the brutal Ultima, but if they bust out Suffocate and it's successful, that can instantly KO your team in one move. Number 4, MURAI. Ninja Gaiden. Before Dark Souls was the name in hard gaming, Ninja Gaiden was the beginning and end of any conversation about difficulty. A super naff 3rd installment and terrible 2014 spin-off Yaiba totally buried the IP, but back in the day, first boss MURAI had everybody talking. Your clan's closest ally and your uncle attempting to train you, MURAI marks the end of the tutorial. Only he proceeds to batter you mercilessly with twin nunchaku. While he can't kill you in one hit, he can lock you into a combo animation that's inescapable, attacking you over and over and over until your life bar is totally gone. Oh, what fun we had. Number 3, Berserker, Gears of War. Gears of War was such a big deal and it sold so well, everybody else copying its cover system became a mainstay of all action titles for the next few years. Gears was so pivotal in the advancement of third-person action in video games that one of the developers of Uncharted 1 admitted that Naughty Dog delayed their release in order to study it, trying to make Uncharted resemble Gears more. All of this is to say that Gears' reputation is based around third-person action when it totally nailed some cool horror beats too. One comes from a boss fight in the first Gears of War against a gigantic frenzied creature called the Berserker. You couldn't kill it through any traditional means, and to be honest, it had plot armor. For the battle, you're supposed to kite it past you and through a number of barriers, until you can unleash the satellite-powered Hammer of Dawn outside to bring it down for good. Cut to endless attempts to get in front of this thing, then awkwardly rotating and sprinting away, more often than not resulting in Marcus Phoenix being turned into mulch. Number 2, SINISTAR, from SINISTAR. The goal of old arcade game SINISTAR is twofold. First of all, you're destroying various alien space fighters and planetoids to gather homing missiles. Second, you need to destroy a giant living space station thing called SINISTAR. Now, being an arcade game from the 80s, clearly the creators were designing difficulty in a way that would result in tons of coins being thrown their way. Not only will one bullet from the alien spaceships kill you, but SINISTAR itself moves way faster than you do. If it bumps into you, you die instantly, but even when close, it can just open its mouth and then kill you from there too. You need a whopping 13 of the homing rockets, referred to as Cinnebombs, to actually bring this thing down. All the while, the creature will be taunting you, calling you a coward while he munches you down to dust. And number 1, GALACTUS, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Fighting games are known for having cheap bosses, including things like stolen special moves, being immune to certain types of techniques, or even being able to read your attacks unfairly fast because the AI can totally scan your button inputs. But few fighting game bosses have legitimate one-hit kill moves, except the Planet Eater himself, GALACTUS. GALACTUS has everything I've just listed and an instant kill, if he hits just right with his final smash technique. It gets even worse as this move can't be blocked or even guarded against. You just have to wail on him and hope it's enough to stun him out of the warm-up animation, or you're knocked out and it's try again time. Oh, and if you're doing a team attack, say one that might win the fight if it connects, he'll just barrel right through that and kill both or even all 3 characters in one go. Look, I know they had to make GALACTUS a big old deal considering that it's GALACTUS, but this rivals MK9 Shao Kahn in all-out dickery. And those are my picks for one-hit kill video game bosses that totally made me rage. Let me know your picks down in the comments below, and please check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast we upload on Tuesdays and Fridays. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.